Hey everyone, George Weber here, G Weber Arts. We're in the studio and today we're going to put a vinyl decal onto a computer case and show you a few tricks that'll just make putting your vinyl decal onto whatever it is you want a little bit easier. And we'll get into that in just one moment. Let's make art. Okay, so as you can see, I've got a couple of my giant size Red Devil girls, and I'm only going to use one. So I'm going to set that one aside. And this is a permanent vinyl, as I may have mentioned before, and I'm going to mention it again. There's two parts of this. One part is the transfer film, which is this transparent. Sometimes it's semi-opaque, but this one's transparent. And then there's the backing paper, and of course there's the vinyl sticker itself. Now, one of the things you want to have handy, if possible, is some sort of small tool that when you're separating the transfer tape from the backing paper, occasionally the decal will want to stick to the backing paper and not release. And in that event, you just want to kind of lift it up and then roll back down and kind of gently rub on the decal area, and it should lift up a little bit easier for you, just like that. So that's how you would separate those two. Now, before I do that, I'm going to lay that back down again. We're going to get our computer panel. Yep, here we go. And this thing is a real monster, big, huge computer panel. I've got some paper towels here and a spray bottle of water, simple enough. And I'm going to spray some water on my paper towel just to get it moist, not too crazy. And I'm going to clean off the panel. And that's just to get mostly dust and whatnot off the panel, because there's plenty of dust on it, you can be sure of that. And just make sure that your panel is pretty clean. Pretty simple. Doesn't matter what it is you're putting your vinyl decal on, you want it to be clean. In the case of something that's metal or glass, you want it to be really, really clean. If you're putting it on like a notebook, by example, just kind of dust it off. You don't want to use any water. All right, so the next thing we want to do is figure out where we're going to put our devil girl. And I'm going to put her something like that, I think. That'll give me a couple of inches off this front edge, off the top, off the bottom, just like that. Now, in this particular instance, I'm going to put some tape to hold it in place. Something like that. And actually, I'm going to take this one off because that's at an angle, so it's not going to act correctly. I want to create a hinge. There we go. And maybe one more piece of tape. I think I got scrap laying around here somewhere. There we go. All right. So I've basically created a hinge. Now, very carefully, I'm going to remove my backing paper from my decal. Let's see if I can adjust this a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. All right. And because this is such a big decal, it's going to come off fairly smooth and not give me too much trouble. Her tail looks like it's going to give me a little trouble, so I'm going to kind of work my way around to get that tail to come up and onto the back, onto the transfer tape. There it goes. All right. So now, using that hinge, I can come back, and we're going to tilt the camera this way again. And as you can see, I'm staying well away from everything. And I'm going to grab my water bottle, and I'm going to spritz my surface some. And then I'm going to use a squeegee. Now, a squeegee, it could be just a stiff piece of cardboard, really. I just happen to have a real squeegee. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my top edge laid down just like that. And then I'm just going to slowly work my way down. And the idea is to make sure you don't have any air bubbles anywhere. As you work with your squeegee. Again, it could be a piece of cardboard, it really doesn't matter. As long as it's good and stiff and won't damage anything that you're working on, the decal or your material or whatever it is. I'm just going to work my way down. I'm always keeping this curled up off of there. Now, if I get a big air bubble or something, I can, because it's wet, I can lift it back off like that. Slowly find my air bubble, work it out, and then work my way back down again, making sure I'm working everything out and away until I get to the bottom. All right, now I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm just going to wipe that, get all the excess moisture off the top. And then I'm going to get rid of my tape hinge here, because I don't need that anymore. Now, sometimes when you're doing a tape hinge, it's easier to work this way. In other words, if I had the panel laying this way, it's easier to work across than up and down. I'm just doing it up and down, so it's a little more clear for you guys, I hope. All right, so now we're going to run my squeegee down over my decal, and you'll see that there's water being pushed out from underneath the transfer tape. And that's fine. All right. Now, you can use a tool or you can just grab it with your finger and grab the transfer tape, and I bend it all the way over and then slowly work my way up, making sure that none of my decal is lifting as I go. If it does for any reason, you can just grab your squeegee and press it down. Currently, I'm not having any problems. I'm just demoing it. And you just keep on going until you get to the other end. I could go a little faster, but the faster you go, the more your vinyl is going to want to lift. Like right there, it wanted to lift. And that's because there's still a certain amount of moisture under it. So you don't want to go too fast if you've used the water method like this. You can do this without water, but when you do, if you get an air bubble or something, it makes it harder to get it out. Okay, and just work my way up. a little closer to my... There we go. Make sure she's down. Smaller details tend to lift a little easier, so you want to take your time. See, now I have an air bubble right there, but because there's water behind it, I can push it out towards the edge, poof, out it goes. All right, now we're going to dry her off again. Now, any moisture that's behind the decal is going to evaporate over time. But with the squeegee, you can, get it really flat to the image and work it up and get some of that moisture out. And this surface is not perfectly smooth. It has a texture. Textured surfaces act a little bit different than like a glass surface. Glass will be really tight fit, and that'll be it. It'll be stuck down good. Whereas a textured surface, you might have more air and more moisture behind it. So there she is, just like that. Now, that's going to air dry for a day or two. And if you want, you can, after it's starting to dry for a day or so, you can go back over it real quick just to make sure there's nothing that's lifted. But odds are pretty good that you'll be just fine. So that's it. I hope you've liked this video. I hope it helps you get your decal in place, wherever it is you plan on putting it. And by all means, like, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff. And we'll see you on the next video. See you later.